Chinatown is a great place to buy interesting objects. I've got one here. Let me unwrap it. It's a little Chinese toy. It's actually a stick with a strange duvalacking hanging off the end here, and if I tease that out, you can see that it's a paper snake, made of that sort of tissue paper honeycomb that we use for Christmas decorations. There we are, fully extended. Now, as I hold that up, you can see that acts as a paper spring. And as I wriggle it about, the heavy head of the snake makes it dart in and out and behave in a most realistic fashion. Well, you can make that at home. The honeycomb's a bit hard, but you can do a sort of approximation of that, and I'll show you how. Come with me. Well, there's the Chinese version, as we saw, and this is the homemade version. And as you can see, it darts in and out perfectly realistically with a life of its own. It even swivels from side to side a bit. So let's see how we make that body, because that's the main difference. You start with streamers, and although you can cut long, thin bits of paper and stick them together, it's probably easier just to go and get a pack of party streamers. They're not expensive. You should really tear off a bit at least 1 metre long, but I'm going to work with something a bit shorter because it shows you what I'm doing. So you tear the streamers off, perhaps pick 2 contrasting colours. I'll use orange and purple. Here we go. These are much too short, as I said. Get something longer. Now, they're pretty curly like that and hard to work with, so if you take the back of the curve, put it on the edge of the table, put your thumb there and just pull it through, that will work the curve the other way, and it should lie perfectly flat and be very easy to work with. And we're ready to start the body of the snake. Well, you start by putting one of the streamers across the other at right angles. Here we are, the orange across the pink. And you stick them there either with glue or, in this case, with tape, which is a lot quicker and easier. And now it's just a matter of weaving them. See, the orange goes across the pink. We need to pull the pink back so it goes across the orange. Make sure it goes squarely across. To make a little square, we're going to build a square tower. Now the orange goes across the pink. There's only one way it can go. Now the pink goes across the orange. You can see that it's going to make this little column, and the great danger is that you might go sideways and start to make it a diamond-shaped one. So check each fold very carefully. It takes a while, but what you want to do is to build a little column there which rises about 1 centimetre from the table, and that will make a nice concertina. Well, I could keep on going with that, but I think you get the idea. You can't really go too wrong. Well, I've got that finished over here, at least half finished. That's about half the height that you'd actually want, but I'll continue with it here because it's easier to see what I'm doing. One end will be the tail. Here we are, and that will be glued onto a stick or tied onto a ruler or something like this. Up at this end, we'll need to make the head. So we, once again, stop the thing from unraveling by using a bit of tape, and I'll stick the pink down onto the orange with this. It looks all thumbs, but there we are. We can trim off any extra pink sticking out there, and all we have to do is to glue a head of the snake onto that. Well, that's made, in this case, not out of clay as the Chinese was, but out of a piece of cardboard, which we'll weight. So we can take a piece of cardboard or thick paper, fold it over, cut a snake's head out of that. Here we are, there's the nose coming back there, and that should be about in scale for the snake. And we'd stick that on there with tape. I think we can shorten that streamer and make this possible. First I'll put it on that side and stick the top part down onto it. Here we go. Try and get it central, otherwise the snake might be a bit skew-whiff when you operate it. Right, that's not quite central, but you get the idea. Then, of course, we have to put a thread through there, and I do that by making a little hole right through the middle of everything, like that. Be careful you don't go into your finger, and we'll thread some cotton through there once we've got everything under control. I'll take that off because it's going to get sticky and in the way. Well, again, I think about 30 centimetres of cotton should do it. Poke it through the hole, pull it up onto what will be the back of the snake's head, like that. And you can knot it on this side, but a knot may well pull through. So once again, use the old reliable sticky tape and really trap that underneath the snake's head. There. And cut off any spare tape. Now that can't pull through. The snake, you can see, if I turn this now the right side up, this is a very short one, but the snake is building up in that sort of fashion. But the head is too light, so we have to weight it, turn it down again, and stick a coin or a piece of plasticine directly over the thread. If you don't, it'll all be unbalanced. Directly on top of the thread, once again, use the sticky tape, and that should now be our snake. We'll just have to trim off the bits of tape that are sticking it onto the table. There we are. This is a very stubby snake, but it will show you the way the thing proceeds. Pick it up by there, hold it by the tail, and it's trained to concertina already. Well, that's a simple matter then, to take the tail, stick it onto a stick, tie this part onto the end of the stick, and you end up with the sort of thing we've seen. This is on a ruler, and the head is weighted with plasticine, which is perfectly okay to use. Any weight's okay to use, and it plunges in and out. And this is a rather larger version, which does use the coin in the way that you've seen me make it here. That's a rather longer snake. But that's the Australian version of an old Chinese toy.